Vaishnavi T, 3rd DC English, Pioneer College. Chapter 10, Democracy, written by Langston Hughes. Democracy will not come today, this year, nor ever, through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course, tomorrow is another day. I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed, planted in a great need. I live here too. I want freedom just as you. About the author and poem. James Mercer Langston Hughes, 1902 to 1967, is one of the most articulate Black American poets who deployed almost all the dominant genres of literature like poetry, novel, autobiography, and drama to resist racial oppression and advance the concerns of Black identity and freedom. Langston Hughes was greatly influenced by his maternal grandmother, Mary Langston, with whom he lived. She passed on to him through the Black American oral tradition the pride in the Black community's struggle for freedom and self-dignity. But he was unhappy and lonely also, living with his grandmother. It was then he was drawn to books and began to, as he says, believe in nothing but books and the wonderful world in books, where if people suffered, they suffered in beautiful language, not in monosyllables, as we did in Kansas. It is quite predictable that, as a poet shaped by harsh realities of life, he was closely associated with the Harlem Renaissance (Black cultural movement) that initiated the civil rights movement His jazz poetry energized the movement, and he described that time as the Negro was in vogue, which was synonymous with the Harlem was in vogue. The Negro Speaks of Rivers is considered as a signature poem. The major concerns of Hughes being freedom, democracy, and liberation, his poetry finds resonances in other cultures as well. The poem Democracy, published in 1949, opens with the speaker's realization that democracy will never come through compromise and fear. The speaker is aware of the rights of the Black people to be free and own the land, but it is always put off to tomorrows endlessly. He is tired of waiting for the Godot. There is no more time to waste. Generations died unfree, simply waiting, but he needs democracy to happen when he is alive. It is a seed planted in need, and so it should grow quick too. The poem makes a simple, direct, and deeply political statement of the Black community's demand for equality, freedom, and democracy. The most remarkable feature of the poem is the consistency and pressing urgency with which the demand is articulated. Democracy cannot take its course to come. The suggestion is that political will of the Black people should make it happen. The poem ends in an ironic note. Some people live here and enjoy freedom, and they ask others to wait endlessly for freedom. To those people, the speaker says, I live here too. Hughes has not used culture and country-specific words, leaving open the wide spectrum of interpretive possibilities in cultures where democracy is at risk. Glossary. I have as much right means demand for equality. To stand on my 2 feet means to be free and responsible. Let things take their course means things do not happen by chance, people make it happen. Tomorrow is another day means freedom is not something that can be put off. Strong seed planted in a great need means expected to happen without delay. Answer in 2 or 3 sentences each. First question, what does the speaker mean by saying that democracy will never come through compromise and fear? Second question, what makes the speaker demand democracy? Third question, why does the speaker reject the attitude, let things take their course? Fourth question, which line suggests justice delayed is justice denied? Fifth question, what is freedom identified with and what is the implied meaning? Sixth question, who is given this answer? I live here too. Answer in 80 to 100 words. First question, what are the different interesting aspects of democracy revealed in the poem? Second question, does the poet use words that mark place and time? How does it work in meaning making? Third question, the speaker or the poet can be seen to contradict some anti-democratic attitudes. What are these attitudes? Answer in 200 to 250 words. First question, discuss the relevance of the poem in the American and Indian context. Second question, explore the relevance of the poem Democracy in the Kerala context. Third question, what are the striking thematic and structural aspects of the poem Democracy? Read, relate, and write. First question, democracy happens out of the political will of the people, but that political will can be weakened by influence. Discuss this statement putting together the poems Democracy and the Election. Second question, read and find out whether the poem given below is endorsing democratic values or not. Write a note on the human interests in democracy and the poem given below. General, your tank is a powerful vehicle. It smashes down forests and crushes 100 men. But it has one defect. It needs a driver. General, your bomber is powerful. It flies faster than a stone and carries more than an elephant. But it has one defect. It needs a mechanic. General, man is very useful. He can fly and he can kill. But he has one defect. He can think. Third question. Find out poems in Malayalam and folk songs with culture and place-specific words and write a short note on them. Fourth question. Read Anwar Ali's poem in Malayalam, Chavu Nadapaattu, and respond in writing to the disturbing agony of the exodus and tragic death in the Indian COVID-19 pandemic context. Fifth question. Visit the site and study the horrors of exclusion and peripheral existence of huge masses of people, which the writer M.B. Manoj thinks is not an accident. There are these worlds of rejected people out there in the slums, roadsides, rail sites, and that includes even those who are victims of the digital divide. Language matters. First question. Study the use of the word I in bracket, first person, bracket close, and you, and explore how these categories add to the impact of the poem. Second question. Study these questions. Can this poem be classified as a monologue? Is there anything dramatic about it? What are the specific features of a monologue and what purposes do they serve? What are the language-related aspects of a monologue? Compile the answers into a short note. In bracket, these points may help. Use of I 6 times, comma, abrupt opening, comma, some rhyming lines, comma, tone of protest and urgency, comma, use of the form for personal protest, comma, terse lines, comma, familiar metaphors and images, comma, the use of the form for political expression in America in the Black Movement, comma, conducive to performance, etc., bracket close.